Hello there and welcome back to Building with the Boys. We've now got our third in the Rolife Book Nook series with Sunshine Town. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is one I just couldn't find. I looked everywhere for this, could not find it in the UK, but now I have. We built two so far. So we've built Time Machine and we've also built Magic House. And they're lovely, they're really nice. I'm going to do the fourth as well. There is a fourth. There's a Secure Blossoms one, which I'm going to do as well. But Sunshine Town's one we're working on today. I've had a lot of comments on the other two about lighting. A lot of people have problems with the lighting, and I didn't really go into detail on the first two about how to wire the lighting. I'm going to show you on this one, because they all work basically the same. Once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. It's not as complicated as it looks. I wish these were plug and play, so in the very unlikely event that anyone from Rolife is watching, the little plugs on the end, put plugs on these. It would just make everyone's life a lot easier. Typically with a plug and play, I'll show you what I mean by a plug and play light. So these are the lights. These are the sort of lights we're getting from Rolife, where there's no plug on the end of it. So you've basically got to attach the wires together. So you twist the wires together, wrap some insulation tape around them, and that's it. That's all you do. But there is an alternative to this in plug and play lighting, where your lights come with basically a plug at the end. So you just plug it together. Problem solved. If they did that, I think it'd make a lot of people's lives a lot easier. Unfortunately, they don't. So we are going to have to wire the lights ourselves. But don't be too intimidated by that. Now, the one thing that comes to Sunshine Town as well, that doesn't come with the first two that we did, is paint. There is a requirement to paint the edges of things on here. So you haven't got to paint the whole thing. So if painting's not your thing, don't panic about that. They ask you to paint the edges, because when these come out of the laser cut boards that they're in, it leaves a raw wood edge. Now, they do provide the paint, they do provide the brush, but I'm going to be using something else, and I'll show you what that is when we get to it, which I think is just going to make this a lot easier. So again, if painting's not your thing, this is a much easier alternative to painting. So let's get this open, let's get into it, let's get this built. So here's everything we get included in the box. So we've got a lot of elements over here. We've got a little screwdriver as standard. We've got what appears to be a cat, some plant pots. Now again, the difference between this one and the other two is we are going to be making plants. Again, don't be intimidated by that. It's a lot easier than you might think it's going to be. It really isn't that bad. We have our battery box and our light in there. Again, I will go into more detail when we get to that stage. I will show you how to wire these lights and how to do it well. We have our heat tube here. Now again, this will go over your wires of your lights. We're going to use a lighter to just seal it up, and it shrinks to fit the tube. So again, we'll go into more detail of how to do that. We have our pigment, our paint, and they've given us a very fine tipped brush. Now I can already feel the tip of this brush. It feels like a rock. And again, I'm going to look at using something else. When we get to that, I'll show you what it is. We get the glue as standard. Rolife's glue is actually very good, but if you prefer to use your own, I mean, switch out to a decent wood glue. I mean, the one thing I probably will be using is I use bottles with applicator nozzles, because it just makes life a lot easier. It gives you a lot more precision gluing. So if there's any tiny parts, I will be using my applicator bottle to do that. And then as standard, we get the sandpaper we always get, and we get our boards that will put this thing together. So the last thing that comes in the set, as always, is, and these are massive, we've got the fairly hefty instruction booklet. Now, the instructions do require you to kind of figure it out. There is logic to this, but they're not heavily detailed instructions. It will show you how to do it, and most of this is push to fit. There'll be some glue in, there'll be some, but I understand on the translation from what I believe is Chinese to English, sometimes the how to do the batteries and whatnot do get somewhat lost in the translation. So again, I'll take a look at it and I'll explain the simplest way to wire these lights. But let's get into it. Now, again, if I was to show the whole build, it would take hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first 2 pages. So every 2 pages of instructions, we'll stop, we'll take a look at what we've done. If I come across anything that's particularly tricky, I will film that being made, and you can see exactly how this is done. I'll find any sort of pitfalls I think might be there, or anything that might need extra attention that we can talk about, and we'll go from there. So let's get into it. So these are the very first parts it's asking to assemble. Now we're going to be gluing these onto here, like so. And it leaves this raw edge, and this is where they're immediately saying to us we need to paint the edges. So I've sanded my edges to get the burrs off. Now, you can use the little brush they've given you and the pigment they've given you, and you can do things, you can paint your edges, or you can do what I'm going to do, and these are acrylic paint pens. They're real simple to use. They're filled with paint. You give them a shake, which got a ball inside of it, and then we have paint in a pen, and then it literally is as simple as colouring your pen. It just makes life a lot easier. I mean, it's no different to colouring something in. It's just a lot easier than using a paintbrush. You have a lot more control over it. You can control the flow of paint that's coming out of it. You can see what I'm saying. It just makes life a lot simpler. That's my advice. I just find this a lot easier than using the paintbrushes and the pigment they give you. You're literally colouring it in. See? Simple. Nice and easy. Okay, so the next thing it wants us to do is it wants us to make this plant. Now, if again you're new to doing this part of it, don't be intimidated by this. There's no right or wrong way here. There really isn't. And no two plants are going to look exactly the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue inside of this pot. There we go. Nice coating inside the pot. And now what we'll do, we're going to jam this in there, because you can trim this accordingly. So all we need to do is make sure it's in. So once it's in, it's in. So jam this down in there as much as you can. And then literally we can trim it to look how we want it to look. So don't worry about what it looks like at first, because we're going to bonsai this and make it look exactly as we want it to look. What's important is getting it in. So once it's in, it's in. So there is our potted bush, because again, this is just a bush. It's not supposed to look, you know, perfect at this stage. We can trim it accordingly. So all the overhang and the excess we'll trim off. But there we are. There's our little bush. And I mean, I'm kind of fine with that. I kind of like a fairly wild one. It's never going to stand up because it's top heavy, but we will, I would imagine, be gluing this down at some point. But that's what we're going for with this. So just get it in. Once it's in and it's wedged in and that glue bonds with it, it's not going anywhere. So jam as much down in there as you can to create a firm, nice fit, and then you will have your little bush in the pot. Let's move on to the next one. We are making another one, and we're going to be using these. Now the instructions, these look green in the instructions, but they are red, so if you're looking for the green ones, you won't find them. It's these ones. These little balls are going to go everywhere, but let's get this up, let's get this made. Okay, so we've tied all these into one string, so that gives us this part at the bottom. Now what we are going to do is, same again, we are going to apply glue to the inside of the flower pot. So this will hold these, I don't know, berries, poppies, whatever they are in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread this piece through the bottom. So that's going to go through there. Going to pull this through. So we're going to get these through to there like that. Bend this up to hold this in place for now and let that glue bond. So we're going to bend this wire up to hold these in place. Get my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. And there we have it. That's what we're going to do. Once the glue bonds, once the glue sets and this takes and this is firm, we're going to trim that off right to the bottom, and we will have our lovely little plants there. So that's it. That's the second one done. It's simple enough. It's simple enough. So don't panic about these things. And again, you can trim accordingly. So we're going to do some botany on these and trim them. But now we're going to move on to actually constructing the book nook. So that's our next 2 pages of instructions done. And what we've done on this one is we've attached this green window to our front piece there, so we can see how that's looking. We've made these 2 pieces of what I believe is going to be door. We've just attached these 3 to them there. And then finally, we have made this very dainty tray. Now, the glue's still dry on this, so we're going to be careful with it. You see what we've got going on there. Those are our flowers glued into the jar. And we've got a cup and saucer there. We won't be using that for a while, not until right at the end. So we're going to just pop that one out of the way. And now we move on to the next 2 pages of instructions, which I believe are going to be a door and a tree. So we'll get that done. We'll check back in. There's nothing overly complicated with this. I mean, the flowers, if you just follow you will get this little ruler. Just follow those, trim them to the correct size, glue them in. Now, when it comes to flowers and shrubbery and things like that we've been doing earlier as well, there's no right or wrong on this. You can trim them to the size you want them to be. You can have them look however you want them to look. You don't have to put them on there at all if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. So don't stress things like that too much. But when it comes to like these doors particularly, just follow the instructions. It's simple enough. We're just gluing 3 pieces on. That's it. So let's move on to the next parts, and we'll check in and see how we're doing. So we have started to build the actual Nook now. Again, this looks complicated. It's not. This is literally just gluing pieces to a board. That's all this is. But I mean, up to this stage, we've just been building bits. That's all we've been doing. So just lots of bits. But we are now at the stage where we are going to have to do the lighting. So let me get this open. I'll take a look at it. Let's see how we're doing it, and I'll show you how to put it together. Okay, so the first thing it asks us to do is it asks us to cut a 2.5mm length of this to use later. So using the little ruler they've given to us, I've done exactly that. So that's a 2.5mm length cut. We're safe. It doesn't say how much more to use of this, so we're going to have to play this by ear. That's annoying. This is the wire we're going to be using. So this is the red and black wire, which is wire P3. Let me just double check that. That's correct. So this is the wire we're using. Now, the other thing we're going to be using is the lampshade. Now, I can already see with mine doesn't have the hole in it. So I'm going to have to make the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've made my hole. Now what I'm going to do is to thread the wires through, and I'm going to pull all the way through, because this is going to be the lampshade. So, and I want this all the way through. So these black wires here, they're going through as well. I want this bulb flush with this section, and that is how I'm going to get it. I'm going to persuade this, but it is going to go through. There we go. So I want that flush. So that's how I now am. So this is how mine is looking. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to thread these wires through this length of tube. Now I'm going to see exactly how much tube we need. It's the 2.5 length. It's just a really bizarre translation when they say for use later, which was just much later, not, you know, cut a 2.5mm length of tube for use with this part. Just bizarre translation, but I mean, I'm sure their translation from Chinese to English is far better than my translation of English to Chinese would be, believe me. So let's go. Right, so we're going all the way through. All the way through, all the way through, all the way through. And then again, going all the way down, and we're connecting. So that's how we want to be. This is how we want to be. We want to be completely flush. Now, this is heat shrink tube. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to heat it. Don't burn it. just let the heat do its thing. I'm going to do this with a lighter, just so you'll see what I'm talking about. So don't set fire to this. I'm going to go. Right, let's kill that lighter down for a start. Right. Now you'll already see. You see what's happening? You ain't got to go mad here. Do you see? Keep it moving. And this will shrink to fit. That's it. As you can see, I got scorched, so that was too close. But that's it. That's now heat shrunk. That's done. That's all you got to do. Don't touch this yet. let it cool down. But that, for creating this, that's all you've got to do. It really is that simple. Now we've done that part, what we're going to do is we need to take an I8. That's this piece here. And again, we're going to thread our wires through. And I'm going to go one first. Get the red through. That much just to get it started. Then I'm going to take my black wire. I don't want these crossed over. Let's get these nice and straight. Okay. Thread our black with the same hole, and then we bring them level together, so we're going through at the same rate, and we're going to pull the whole thing straight through. Through we go. Do you see? Do you see? Right, so there we go. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach this to our wall. So the whole thing is going to go through the wall itself. Now I'm fairly sure I can get this tube through here as well, which I want to do. Yeah, take some pinches, some tweezers, but there we go. The tube's going through the hole now as well. And that is where we want to be. Gotta go that section through the bottom. But that's it. I want this as snug in here as it can possibly get. That will save me some problems later on. I'm going to pinch that with some tweezers just to get that through. There we go. Now we're going to attach it to the wall. So I'll bring the wall over it. There we have it. That's threaded through. You can see we now have our light in place. Our wires come through the back there. So we're happy. The next thing we're going to do is going to move on to the battery box itself. So I've gone ahead and put my batteries in before we move on to the next stage. The reason why is they don't say to do it at this point, but if you don't, I can see you're going to have to turn this thing upside down to put new batteries in it. I don't want to do that. So I've just done it now. There's no reason you can't do this. Just keep it turned off and it won't give you any problems. And that's it. So there's the batteries in. Pop that down there. Use some screwdriver to close this up. Now you can use their screwdriver. The screwdriver they give you does fit perfectly, but I don't like them. I like using my own screwdrivers. So there you go. That's our battery box complete. Now what we're doing is taking these little pieces over here. We've made what's going to be the battery box frame. Now the way this is going to work is our battery box is going to sit inside of here, and it's going to go. Let's have a look. You see. Yeah, okay, so the wire's got to feed through. So we're going to go in there like that, and then the wire's going to feed through there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another piece just to lock this in place. So now we have the box built. I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to take this here. This is our touchpad. Now you've got the touch side, and you've got the non-touch side, okay? So we want the non-touch side, which is this side, facing that way, and that's going to hang out the side there. And our wire's going to go in there. Now the wires are going to come back through, and those are going to slot into there. Okay, so that's how you need to be. Get all your wires nice and tidy, because we're going to attach a piece that's going to lock all of these wires in next. And we'll take a look. So our battery box is nicely hidden under this section. We've added the cat who's spying on that bird up there. We've added our two plant pots that we made earlier. Those are now glued to the base. Really rather lovely looking too. And then the whole thing, including the battery box, attaches to the wall here. So we have this wire coming out the side here, that goes to nothing, and then we have the touch button there, which will ultimately be at the front of this. And then we just move around. You can see coming from the back, we have the wire coming down there. So that is where we are up to this stage. Let's move on. So here's where we're up to. We've attached the front part here. We've screwed the touchpad to the front here, so that'll be where the button is. We've added the cat, the flowers, everything. We've got this second panel here for the. It's a staggered floor. It's very unusual on this one. Our wires have been tidied, so you can see our wires go through this slit here. Just there, can you see that? And they come out of the back. So if I turn this around, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is where our wires are now coming out of. So you know what's going on. There we go. Let's move on. This is the next part we've worked on. Simple enough. So we've added the table we made ages ago. We've built this chair, but we've installed the lamppost. Now again, it's quite simple. You're just going to thread the lights through the bottom here. This is going to come through there, and then back out through the hole adjacent. And we'll glue the lamppost in place, and this is what it'll be looking like here. I'm assuming this is now going to attach to here, but we'll see. We're moving on to the back wall with this clock. Now I toyed with doing something. I was going to get a small clock, take the workings out, and turn this into an actual working clock. And I was literally going to do that up to about 5 minutes ago when I realised once this is all inside the book Nook, I've got no way of accessing a battery compartment to take it out. I look for solar powered clocks or something, but it's just not there, because even then it would be encased in darkness, so it's not going to work. But I'm annoyed by that because it seems opportunity missed. I would like this to have been a working clock, but yeah, it is what it is. So we really are flying up now. Now I've really not done much since we last caught up. This is like it's half a page's worth of instructions. We literally just attach the floor there. We pop the mirror on the back, so you can already see the effect that it's having. The mirror is just held on with these tabs here. The clock face touch the back panel. The tree's in place. We've got our second cat. Our little table that we built there. Create an optical illusion that it's one table now. It's looking lovely. It's looking lovely. We are now going to start working on the fourth wall. Okay, so this seems to be the bit that gets people. We're going to wire these now. So what you need to do is take all of the same colours together, with the exception of you've got the yellow and white wire. So white goes to black, just to make things really confusing. But of the yellow and white wires, white goes to black. Now all you are going to do is you are going to take the ends of these wires and you are going to twist them together. That is it. That's all you're going to do. It really is this simple. It's not overly complicated. It's simple. So twist all of those wires together. And you'll end up with that. We then have some insulation tape which they've given us, which are these, and we're going to wrap one of those around there just so we make sure we don't want to cause any shorts or anything like that. Then we'll take a look. That is what we're then left with. So all four black wires, well, three black wires, one white wire go together. We do the exact same thing with our three reds and our yellow wire, and that is the wiring complete. So that's all our lighting wired up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit the button and test if it actually works. And it does. There we go. Now, if you're at this point, you're pressing this button here, and nothing's happening. But you've wired the wires as I showed you to wire them, but you're still pressing the button, nothing's happening. And the most obvious answer is you haven't got it turned on. So make sure your switch is on. Now, I know you'll be rolling your eyes at that, but believe me, sometimes people forget to turn it on. The second one is your switch. Now, the switch in there is snug as hell. If this is too loose or too tight, you might have problems getting that connection. So, you know, you'll see with this one, it's not going on. You gotta press it. You gotta press it. So if you're kind of going, oh yeah, mine's not working. Well, no, it's not gonna. With your thumb. There we go. So just check that. Check everything, and you should be good. You should be good. Our fourth wall, and it just uses all the elements we already built very early on in the build. We've got the air conditioner up there, we've got the window, we built this earlier on, and then it's just gluing these to the board. That's it, now we're going to put the whole nook together. Okay, so we've just constructed this fairly detailed shop front window. You can see bookshop there is backwards. That's because the mirror is going to create an optical illusion that this bookshop is further in the background. We're going to assemble the final wall, attach it to the book nook, and then we're pretty much going to be done. So there's our book nook assembled. We put the roof on. I have intentionally flipped these around. You don't have to, you do this your own way. It's too white for me. That's the problem. It's too much white. I wanted someone to break it up. I kind of like the wood. So I flipped these around. I just want some colour break to all this white because it's dazzling. There we are. We're all done. You can see all the way through to the back there. I'll show you doing its thing because I'm sure that's what you want to see. Ah, there we go. And now our nook lights up. Made some minor mistakes, of course I did, always do, but that's what it's about. That's what makes it kind of yours, you know. The fact that it's not unique, the fact that it's not perfect is what stops it from being a factory bought item. Let's see if we can zoom on the mirror at the back there. You can see it does give the effect, the illusion. There we go. There being a whole another bookshop at the back, but that is just a reflection of the bookshop we've already built. It's very clever. It's a very cute thing. I'm very happy with it. Am I in love with it? No. Do I like it? I do. Do I love it? No, I don't. It's a very hectic one. Let's have a chat. I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like. There we go. You can see it. I'll come in from the top. It's cute enough. It's cute enough. have our Nook complete. I'm conflicted with this one, and I'll tell you why. Of the 3 that we've done, if I hadn't have built one before, I'd be loving this. I'd be thinking this was fantastic. But because this is Nook 3 of 4 for me, on the Rolife Nooks, I've got the experience of the 2 that came before it. So if I had to rank this out of the 3 that I've done, where would it come? It would come third. It would come third, and it would come significantly third. And what's my reasoning for that? Well, my reasoning for that is, it is beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is lovely. It's very cute. You can see everything we've got going on there. It just looks like it goes on forever. It really does. And it is a lovely book nook, and I would recommend getting one. But if I've got to compare it to the other 2, if I've got to compare this to Magic House, and I've got to compare it to Time Machine, I would advise either one over this one. That's just where I am with it. I would say, out of the 3, Magic House I need a little bit more from. I need more going on in it, and there just isn't. There's the centre of Magic House, there is nothing. There's nothing that grabs the eye, there's nothing that draws it in, but it's very detailed. Time Machine's the winner for me, because the whole Nook sort of tells a story. This is very nice. It's very kind of, it's a busy Nook, and everywhere you look you can see something else. It might grow on me, but as of right now, no, it's third on my list of Nooks. But I will be building the 4th. I will be building the Secure Blossoms book nook, and that will be complete. The set that will be coming up hopefully next month. It's on my Christmas list to do. So if you haven't yet, please remember to like and hit the subscribe button, and you will be able to get a notification of when we do the Secure Blossoms book nook. We have got other Rolife and Robot Time models coming up on the channel, so please look out for those, along with a lot of exciting things. If you enjoy these kind of nooks and this style of modelling, we've got lots of Rolife and Robot Time models on the channel that you can go check out. We are also building the Disney Dolls House, which is just this on a much grander scale. So be sure to check those out as well if you haven't. That's all from me. In a world where you can be anything, just be nice, and I will see you on the next one.